Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm the R6 lore guy, and here is the lore of the new operator Skopos, whose real name is Kure Galanos. Now, if this is your first lore video, I have an entire lore video covering the entirety of Rainbow Six Siege's lore, and I am also working on the lore of all of the older Rainbow Six titles, which Kure actually originates from, and we'll get into that. So I just want to quickly say, if this is your first time on the channel, please consider hitting that sub button since I am trying to hit 200,000 subscribers. And as well as this, drop a like on this video since it does really help. Your support does not go unappreciated and it truly does mean the world to me. So yes, the newest operator is a legacy Rainbow Six character. This makes it the second we have in the game and in this year. The first of which was Gerald Morris, who is now the antagonist, Deimos, after defecting from Rainbow in 2012 and going down a dark path. And now we have Skopos, who is the Greek ex-Rainbow operative Kure Galanos. Now, since Kure has been in a Rainbow Six title before, we actually have some previous lore from her, and I'm going to be reading out the lore in Rainbow Six Raven Shield, and I'll also show you some gameplay of me playing as Kure in that game. However, she also was present in Rogue Spear as well. Now, if you've never played any of these older titles, they are a lot different to Siege. The campaign mode does require you to first set up a plan as you enter the building. You can put who is on each team, and then you physically get to execute the plan you just prepared. It's very fun. And they have a large roster of different Rainbow operatives to choose from, a bunch of which coming from different classes, and the class in which Kure was under was the Sniper. Yes, Kure is a sniper. Quite a stark difference to how she is in Rainbow Six Siege, but we'll explain that. And to sort of help understand the roles as well, you have Gerald Morris in this, who will become Deimos, and he was in the Demolitions role. And Daniel Bogart, who was also in that animation which showed Gerald defecting, he was in the Assault role. So I'm going to start off reading her bio in Raven Shield, and then we'll take a look at her bio in Rainbow Six Siege. So it says, born in Nicosia, Cyprus, Galanos was thrust into the ethnic tensions on Cyprus from an early age when her family lost their homes during widespread clashes between Turkish and Greek rioters. The Galanos family, while never physically harmed by the tensions, continued to suffer difficult times for many years due to the unrest. Eventually, they fled the city, and Galanos' father, an ex-ELDYK sniper, taught her his trade in extended hunting trips through the center of the island. Galanos attempted to join the Greek MYK force, but was turned down due to her gender. Instead, she joined the civilian police force and quickly rose to prominence as a sniper with a reputation for precise shooting in less than optimal conditions. Galanos is, at times, a sheer force of nature. What she cannot achieve by skill alone, she often completes by force of will. Teammates often claim her piercing gaze does more damage than her bullets. She displays no antipathy towards Turks or indeed any other nationality or criminal. She treats assignments as problems to be solved and solves them with a single clean trigger pull. So that is the bio for Kure in Rainbow Six Raven Shield. Let's move on to the next part of the lore where we know she makes an appearance, and that is that mission in which Gerald and Daniel Bogart went on in 2012. Now, as far as we are aware, the only two operatives we knew who was on this mission was Gerald and Daniel. However, it turns out that Kure was on this mission as well, serving underneath Daniel. Although we don't physically see her, after Gerald betrays Daniel, killing him and exploding the facility, Kure is left with life-threatening injuries, but will survive, however, losing the ability to walk. Being restricted to a wheelchair, this would put her down a separate path. And we'll take a look at the path she does go down by reading her new bio in Rainbow Six Siege. The beginning of this bio may sound a bit familiar, but there is a lot more information in this one. So it starts with a little quote by her saying, "Here's my quote, don't waste my fucking time." And it goes on to say, Kure Galanos was born in Nicosia, Cyprus. At a young age, she was forced to flee her home with her family due to civil unrest. She later joined the civilian police and made a name for herself as a marksman, which led to her recruitment into the Hellenic force. After showing an exemplary capacity to factor in complex operational variables in the the 2000 Mediterranean hostage crisis, she was approached by Rainbow. Galanos served with Rainbow for 11 years under Daniel Bogart, participating in the Rogue Spear and Raven Shield campaigns. After Redacted, Galanos shifted her career, studying mechanical engineering at the National Technical University of Athens and undergoing BDR training to operate ordnance diffusal drones. Galanos first deployed her shells in Operation Daedalus. The successful mission confirmed their unparalleled potential and caught the attention of Aurelia Arnault and the Global Security Alliance Council, also known as the GCAC, for Galanos' reintegration into Rainbow. So we'll talk about this a little bit to begin with. The Redacted mission, which caused her to shift the career, is this mission which happened in 2012. We don't have a name for this operation yet. Aurelia has appeared in this story as well. Of course, she was the ex-director of Rainbow and then the Secretary of State. I wonder what part she still plays, whether she is still Secretary of State. It does seem like she still does hold some power in the government and was involved with Galanos returning to Rainbow after all these years. As well as this, between these two periods when she's returned to Rainbow and the 2012 Redacted mission, she did go to a marksman competition where she would meet the current Rainbow operative at that time, Glaz, and she would be responsible with helping him with some of his upgrades. And although she isn't in a wheelchair in the little artwork we see of this, we still do not see her standing, but it is still nice to see that she does still partake as being a marksman, despite having a new role inside of Rainbow after her integration. And we would also go on to learn that she had some run-ins with Osa from Nighthaven during this period of developing these shells and using them in action. And Osa would actually play a hand in making them the versions they are today. We'll get into that in a minute. So as she was previously operating under Daniel Bogart, she is now operating under Captain Doc of Wolfguard, and here is what he had to say about her. The reception to specialist Kure Galanos' return has been mixed. Some are in awe at the very mention of her name, others are wary of her former proximity to Deimos and Nighthaven. There are also whispers about the wheelchair. I will admit, I too was a skeptic. Despite her endorsement by the council, it was my task as captain to confirm her field readiness. Setting aside her legendary status among the ranks of Rainbow, and the nature of her separation from the immediate dangers of the battlefield through her shells, any number of physiological and psychological issues could have impacted her performance. I found a quote about Galanos in Rainbow's archives. Her piercing gaze does more damage than her bullets. Nothing has changed. Although she understood the reasoning behind my questions, it felt like she had taken ownership of the interview by its conclusions. She produced journals cataloging all 9 operations she underwent and the rehabilitation periods that followed each. From the moment she received confirmation that her C5 vertebra could tolerate high-intensity training, she dedicated herself to returning to active duty, though it didn't sway the critics. Galanos told me that she's gotten used to the scrutiny, and that GSAC and Aurelia Arnault were especially demanding in their assessments. Their initial recommendation had been that she stick to lab work and engineering, but after a brief closed-door session, she was given full endorsement to return to active duty. I have followed suit. Operator Galanos is here to stay, and I am convinced that she is among our best. As her captain, I have access to privileged information regarding the nursery bombing in Bratislava and the incident 3 years later in Redacted. And of course, this is the same nursery bombing in which Gerald mentioned during that animation on that Redacted mission. Descriptions of the events alone were distressing, and participating in just one would have challenged my resolve. How Galanos navigated these traumas shows fierce determination that I can't help but be in awe of. But I do worry about her inevitable reunion with Deimos. She had believed Morris to be dead, and they were well known to have been close friends. Now that she knows the truth, what will she do when she sees him again? And that was Captain Gustav Doc Kadeb of the Wolfguard squad. Next up, we have her training and relevant experience, which includes the Cyprus Civilian Police Force, Hellenic Force BMT, Rainbow Recruit Training, Explosive Ordnance Device Training, Bomb Disposal Robot Training, and National Technical University of Athens Masters of Engineering. In her relevant experience, we have the Mediterranean Hostage Crisis, Operation Pandora Trigger, Operation Zero Gambit, Operation Steel Rose, 2 redacted operations, ECAM West Market bioterrorism incident, and Operation Daedalus. Operation Pandora Trigger, Zero Gambit, and Steel Rose are all operations from Rogue Spear and Raven Shield, and the ECAM West Market bioterrorism incident sounds very similar to Operation Athena Sword. And ECAM is the Greek Special Suppressive Anti-Terrorist Unit. This next bit is a device evaluation by Anya Yankovic, who is actually OSA of Nighthaven, and this is on the V10 Pantheon shells, which are the robots, which it seems like she has accepted a request from Rainbow for an evaluation on this, especially since she had a hand in making them. With this being one of the first major points of contact between Rainbow and Nighthaven since their departure, showing that it does seem like the two sides are mending and are on working terms once again. This also has some input by Twitch as well. And before I continue with this, I just want to say OSA is listed as Agent OSA of Nighthaven, so it does seem like Nighthaven are not known as operatives, they are known as agents, with operatives being reserved for the Rainbow side. And it starts off with a little comment by Twitch saying, I have carried out my own functionality checks of the V10 Pantheon shells and have approved them for the field. With that said, I'm grateful OSA accepted our invitation to submit her own R&D notes, considering her pivotal role in their development. And here is what OSA had to say. When I first met Galanos, she was showing off her V4 Colossus and Talus models at a defense hardware summit. Her intention with the shells had been to counteract the increased prominence of on-site terrorists personally guarding their WMDs, which means weapons of mass destruction. The natural course of action was therefore to develop a task-centric unit that could simultaneously defend itself and others. You can imagine my excitement when I saw the early model's ability to alternate between utilizing shield and firearm functions. By now, we are at a point where they can be effective stand-ins for an operator. Some of the processes like reloading and vaulting have been streamlined with machine learning, but 90% of the shell's actions are from Galanos' manual input. With a little comment by Twitch being inputted saying, manual input? The dexterity alone? Unbelievable. Continuing on with what Osa said, she's the grand architect of all of this. I built the bodies, but she's got the vision that brings the shells to life. I don't think there's another person on Earth who could pilot one of these, let alone 2. I shouldn't mention the cost, but for perspective, when Galanos was in the field with ECAM, they were forced to choose between helicopter support and the shells. They chose the shells every time. And that was Agent Anya Yankovic, the QCR lead at Nighthaven. And so everyone, that is the lore of Kure Galanos in Rainbow Six Siege from her time in Rainbow, her injury after Gerald Morris defects, her career change into developing the version 4 of the Pantheon shells, which eventually get helped to improve by OSA of Nighthaven, to the version 10 of the Pantheon shells, and her now reintroduction into Rainbow thanks to Aurelia and the council. So if you want to keep up with more information about how Kure's story continues and the rest of Rainbow Six lore, be sure to drop a like on this video and let me know your thoughts in the comments, as well as subscribing. We'll have more information very soon and probably get to see her reaction to Gerald Morris now being inside of Rainbow once again. I appreciate you all so much for watching this video. I shall catch you all very soon with more Rainbow Six lore content. I love you all, stay safe, and I'll catch you later. Peace.